Right, guys. It's a bit cooler over the last couple of days in Bulgaria, and I thought it was the 30th today. It's the 29th, so I've got another day to plan my frugal detox July. It was going to be June, but I got distracted by a few things, including the road trip to Albania. So it's going to be July, and I'm going to detox, do some, well, not ultra extreme fasting, but like more than intermittent fasting. I'm going to do alternate day fasting, I think. I'll decide tomorrow. I'll make all my final decisions tomorrow about what we're going to do. But we're definitely going to do the moratorium on. I've got a load of prepping stuff in the cupboards. Just like foods like sardines and all sorts of stuff, and I want to rotate them out. That's one thing. The other one is the money challenge, which is going to be €5 a day, which I'll probably easily achieve that. And that'll be a good one to get into the second half of the year. So you're starting with a frugal month straight away, ultra frugal month. So that's what I'm going to do, right? I kind of keep abreast of the situation in the UK about the Broken Britain type thing, and the food banks and the people, the situation people are in, and it seems to be the main whammy seems to be the rents, of being the final nail in the coffin, so as to make the UK unaffordable even for people who are working, which that should never really happen. If you're a kind of a supposedly a Western democracy, and well organised country, your bottom tier should never fall through the net, which seems to be happening now, and not just the bottom tier, but like some of the middle tiers. But a lot of that's to do with debt and the interest rates. So a lot of people seem to be struggling for one reason or another. One of them is they're below the affordability threshold, and another one is they've been caught in a debt trap. Um, so um, so what I would like to sort of discuss is what you can do about it, or what are the options, what people have. Now, for those who are in the debt bracket, and maybe they've got a decent job still, but they're kind of in a debt. But if you're above the average, I think the average wage is about on about 35 grand, and if you're above that, I mean, you shouldn't starve. Um, if you've got yourself in a load of debt, then you can struggle, and you can possibly even lose your home, which is catastrophic. But these are my thoughts on what people can do to get out of it. So you've got to think about certain things, like the questions to ask are: do you think it's going to get better? Do you think it's going to get worse? Do you think it's going to stay the same? Are you prepared to move? Are you prepared to change your life, your methods? Are you willing to sacrifice your kind of way of life to get out of debt, and all these type of things? And if you're below that, if you're below the safety net, and you're into poverty, food bank stuff and poverty, then also you've got to ask similar questions. Now, there's some things that you can't do if you haven't got that the income level. There's kind of not much you can do except hope. And a lot of people think they're going to maybe vote their way out of this situation, which you're probably not, because largely the people who are in government have caused a lot of so they're not going to be the ones that are going to help you out of it. They haven't put you in it. Well, in some cases they possibly have, but they're the ones who's I suppose they'll be responsible for the affordability of a country. You need to keep a threshold of how people, if people can survive. At least you need two things: you need a roof over your head and you need food. And some people are slipping beneath that, which is happening, both in the USA and the UK, by the look of it. Which from a position here in the Balkans, I mean, I've been all over the place here, and they haven't got the same problem of the lower the threshold. By and large, everyone gets through the day here, and they're not gonna lose the roof over their head. By and large, there's very few homeless people here. Everyone gets to, and everyone more or less gets to eat as well. I haven't seen any of the food banks. They usually have places where you can put stuff on the way out of Lidl in the UK to donate the food, and I haven't seen that here. So maybe not everyone's fell through the net just yet. And they do have the Meals on Wheels in that here, where they take stuff around to destitute people, or just pensioners really, who can't look after themselves, but they tend to stay at home here till they die. So they do have Meals on Wheels in that, and they come and leave the food in that. So that's one thing we have got here. So the questions for the people in the UK are, what can you do about it? And this is just my opinion, and I'm not trying to advise anyone or be smart or anything like that. I'm just and I can speak actually from I've been I've been on zero quite a few times in my life, even in the not so distant past. I started on zero 1998, and a lot of the time I've been starting on zero every year when I go back to the UK. I only have enough, but I get quite good, well paid contract work, so that was a big plus. But so for those who are at the bottom, now generally, and it's quite a harsh thing to say maybe, but like in a society, you always get a bottom tier, and they'll never get out of the. There's certain individuals within them communities who will get out, and it's usually by moving, or a lot of them turn to crime, and some of them do quite well, and other ones go to jail, which looking at some people's situation at the moment, it could be a better deal, and that, I'm not joking. It could be a better deal. You're getting 2 meals, 3 meals a day. got somewhere to sleep in jail. So and who knows? It could be a better deal than a lot of people who live in bad, violent areas and stuff like that. But anyway, that's an extreme sort of view, if you like. So what can you do? So if you're going to stay in the area, now I can go by what in the 70s. We weren't threatened with homelessness. I can't remember that anyway. But like, if we were, no, I don't think anybody was then, because they used to get the rent paid for, on the council estates and that. If they were at the bottom, they could stay alive. It was affordable enough to stay alive, and even people on benefits. I remember they used to go to the match and live a decent enough life, and take part in things, and Now, I was always one of those child workers who always had little jobs everywhere, and I always had a little bit of money that I earned myself, because I enjoyed it, having the independence kind of thing. I had the paper round, but I did like a mega paper round. I used to do on a Sunday, the Sunday papers, which were heavy, just one paper, the Observer. It's quite heavy, and I used to have to go back to the shop for my second bag, because I couldn't carry all the papers. I used to do, and you got paid, I think, by the paper. Can't remember, but I used to make a decent amount of money in them days, Now, I'm not sure what you can do now in the UK with all these sidelines and that. But you can do the Uber Eats and all sorts of stuff now. Or you can do freelance taxiing, stuff like that. That's what I'd be looking at doing if I was in one of them areas. Or, various other sidelines. People used to do, washing and cleaning services. And another thing I used to do was gardening. If I saw someone's garden, go to the better areas, obviously, on foot. And just saw like, gardens that looked like overgrown and that, or, obviously someone couldn't keep up or didn't want to. It's no good in the bad areas, because they haven't got any money to pay you. And I used to get work. You used to, knock on the door, make sure you're looking presentable. I don't think it'd be good now going with all these tattooed faces and heads and necks and stuff. For like old people, that probably could be a bit scary. You turn up, you look like a postage stamp. But I used to get quite a bit of work like that, and painting and decorating. I mean, who can't paint a room? And I used to get a bit of work doing that, And even when I was doing my freelancing, I used to have a break. I used to have breaks, because it's quite intense, my job, what I used to do. And I used to have a break if there was just, a little contract or something. I was quite good at tiling as well, things like that. And there's a lot of things you can do online these days to earn a bit of money, I think. I think I'm in the... I've done this on a very, very small scale, and I haven't been like mega ambitious. I just want to share things with people on here, really. But I'm now into the monetization, the first step, where you don't get money from ads and stuff like that, but you can do other things, which you haven't started doing yet. I might set that up next week. But that's not the reason I'm doing this. But people could, people could, and you can do various other things as well. We used to have like stuff like the Avon lady, who used to go around and sell cosmetics and stuff like that, And there used to be people who did catalogues. They'd be the hub for the catalogues. And there used to be people who sold the hampers, Christmas hampers, which, you were an agent for the hampers, and you could be an agent for these catalogues as well, which I still think you could probably still do that now. I don't know, but what I'm trying to get at is that there is always openings, Now, the second thing that you could be looking at, which probably the lowest tier that I'm talking about of society, not all of them are going to be able to like do that or want to, and that's move. They probably bet, it'd be too much for them to do that. And but there are people in that level who do get out. I mean, I don't think we were ever in the bottom tier, but we certainly didn't have any money. But I got out, and a lot of people went to America and Australia, which I don't think that they're particularly good places now to head for if you're like starting from scratch, But it would be an option for people who say could sell up, right? And it's definitely an option to go abroad if you're a pension age. Definitely. I mean, you could live quite well here on a pension. If you had a little bit of money to buy a house, you can still buy cheap houses outright here compared. And if you're sold up, or you could, if you were doing online stuff, and you can do it from anywhere, you can even teach English on the internet, and it doesn't matter where you are. And people do other courses on the internet as well. There's these online kind of online university things, and they teach things online. There was one guy teaching this Hinduism and stuff like that, and he made a living out of it. Amazing. But so you can do that as well. There's lots of things you can do. So it's either you stay where you are, and then you sink or swim within that. Now, I saw one the other day, and in Channel 4 they usually pick on these people, and they usually get the single parents and people on benefits, rather than people that are working, because obviously they'll be at work. So they get these people on, and they tell them how bad it is and all that, but they're sitting there, and obviously they never say what they're trying to do to get out of it. They just say, well, we're in this position and we shouldn't be in this day and age. I mean, why shouldn't you be? Who says, And they're kind of hoping that something's going to change. The fortunes are going to change. All these rents are going to come back down. Well, there's the news flash. They're probably not, So what do you do? Now, I was looking at one of them, and they were complaining about the teenage son. He couldn't go to these football, which they were obviously paying for, football and swimming lessons and stuff like that. I mean, when you're on the bottom of the pile, you've got to forget about things like that. Never mind swimming lessons, you've got to sink or swim in your home, Now, I was looking out of the window. They flash around the room, and what they do nowadays is they hide everything. They hide all the big tellies and all the phones and packets of cigarettes and all that stuff. You can tell Channel 4, because people used to comment on these things, like I was one of them. who used to say, "Just look what's behind them in the background. You got the massive telly and everything." So they've obviously got all the television packages and everything, and the cigarettes, and the phone was always there. But now they hide everything, and get everything in the other room. That's just me being cynical, but it's true. So I was looking outside, and they showed something, when they pan round the room, and there was quite a big garden out the back, and it looked like it was all ornamental plants. And if you're gonna stay there and in this situation, and you're in dire straits, forget about the garden. Just rip everything out and start growing stuff. You know what I mean? Start growing things. That's what people do here. And it might not be the English way, and you might say, "What are you talking about?" But if you're going to be in this situation for the next 10 years, at least the least you can do is dig the lawn up and put some potatoes in. And you can get enough potatoes from a lawn size to keep going the whole year with potatoes, probably, if there's one or two people. I get enough here for the 6 months, and I only do it on a very small scale. In a bed, I use half of one bed for potatoes, and that usually keeps me going for 6 months. I'd leave them in the ground here and just pick them out. I just dig them out when I need them, or on a weekly basis. Get a week's worth out of the ground, And yeah, it keeps me going for maybe 6 months. But I could put enough in for more. But they start getting old then, and that kind of thing. But and green beans, the green beans, I didn't have enough room in the freezer last year. I got that many green beans, and I only had a small plantation, if that's the right word for them. And I put them down all one side of one bed, and that's all I had. And they kept giving green beans. I think there was 4 harvests on some of them. Amazing, absolutely incredible. And I didn't know that they do multiple harvests. I couldn't get them in the freezer. Didn't have enough room. So you've got that, and so these are all little steps you can do. And you might say, well, you're being a bit high and mighty, but if you're going to stay in the position that you're in, then there are things that you can do apart from a full-time job to help ends meet. I knew kids. This is in the 70s. We had a lot of these street entrepreneurs, and I always had jobs. I was, the paper round, and I was a barra boy in the fruit market. And some people aren't able to do things like this, but this is what we did. And I used to mark the board in the betting shop. I don't think they do that. I think it's all digital now. But we used to mark the board with a marker pen. I think before that it was chalk. But I was doing it when it was marker pen. And I used to actually do the fruit market in the morning, because we finished it around about midday, about 5 in the morning till midday. Then I used to go straight to the betting shop and mark the board. And I was underage. You're not supposed to be in there till you're 18. I think I was 16, 17 when I was doing that. I was in the 6th form school. That's 17, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah. So there's things you can do. And you can do cleaning service and and stuff like that. But these people don't seem to be as entrepreneurial minded, and they just given up. You know what I mean? That looks like a lot of them, and they just sat there thinking, this shouldn't be happening, but it is. But and the gardening and stuff like that can be very rewarding, and you can do microgreens in the house, and all this. That's one thing this woman had. I watched on the. She had plants everywhere, but none of them were producing food. But why not just grow edible stuff, And it'll help. And it's good food. It's all organic. If you don't put stuff on it, And so you could do things like that. And I watched one in America once with this guy. He gorilla planted the whole street. He was putting pumpkins in on the verges, on the grass verges and all that. And I remembered Curtis Stone. He used to get people with big pieces of land, and he used to cultivate them. The urban farmer, and it was just people's big gardens really. And he used to kind of rent them out or do a deal with them that he'd supply them with all this food. So there are things you can do outside of the kind of system. Or the second option now is move. And where would you move to these days, And could you make a go of it? Now, if you could sell up, and certainly if you had a pension, UK pension, you can live in the Balkans easily. Easily. You won't be struggling here. Not on a UK pension. I think it's 800 and something a month. It's 11,000 something a year. Pounds. And I live here on €5,000 a year. Quite well, but I don't have a mortgage or anything like that. But I have bills and everything else. Car, insurance. And that's what I live on. €5,000. So you can do that, and if you could get some online stuff going, and possibly sell up and move with a little bit of money behind you, you could kind of set up maybe a permaculture type place, food forest, and with some animals in that. If you're that way inclined, I do a little bit of that, but not much. Because I invested over the years, so I was able to. I'm able to survive on what I've got until retirement, at least, And I've got a few other things, investments, which I won't mention here in the digital age, shall we say. Even Grandad can do that. So there's the options you can move and that. So I hope this, it's hard not to be derogatory of some people saying what you're kind of saying is, get off your ass, in some respects, and don't just sit there expecting either Rishi Sunak to turn up from one corner, or you look round the other, there's Keir Starmer's coming to help you. These people caused a lot of this, so they're not the ones who's going to help you. And there are sorts of theories that some of it's being done on purpose, So don't expect anybody to be coming and help you anytime soon, because that's not going to happen, right? So without being too kind of harsh in that, they're just the ideas that I would have. Maybe, get some little side hustles. That's what they call them in America. Little side hustles, get them going, Don't just sit there. You've got to do something. I knew kids in the 70s used to buy a packet of cigarettes and used to sell the single cigarettes, and they double the money on a packet of cigarettes. They used to sell them, they called loose cigarettes. Lucy's, and these were the little street entrepreneurs, and they always had pockets full of money. And they used to split sweets, bags of sweets up, sell the sweets, one sweet, and double the money on a big bag of sweets, But people used to do things like that, and it keeps you going. And all the little jobs I had, that was like a kind of a sort of loaded, but in street terms, I don't think it's as easy as that now because of the rents and like it's the actual cost of these rents and stuff. I don't think it'd be as easy as that now. But like you can certainly help yourself, and it's rewarding, it keeps the morale up, like getting all these little things going, Okay, I hope that's helpful to someone. Cheers.